TransByDef. It's Jenna. How are you today? It's not raining out for a change. I get to come outside. It's been raining all week. This week's subject, you see my boo-boo? This week's subject is purging, and then restarting transition. This is something that I'm world class at. I don't think this is something that happens, can't prove this, but I don't think this is something that happens to younger trans folk. But to us that have had families, relationships, have been married, this is something that is very common. Wish it wasn't. It's painful. It's an emotional roller coaster that is beyond words. It's terrible. I did the purge and jumpstart 4 or 5 times. When I finally acknowledged who I was, I would go out and quietly spend $400 on clothes and then hide everything. I had it hidden in my gun safe. I had it hidden in the trunk of my car. I had it hidden in a locked closet. It was a lot of work to hide that stuff. But it was the only way that I was able to have, besides having the mental knowledge that I was Jenna, it was the only way that I could express myself was through dressing. Though I didn't need the clothes to let me know who I was. It was terrifying when I first started to do that. I would go to a store and pick out stuff, and it became so laborious that I finally just outed myself when the store clerks would start asking me, well, what size is your wife and how big is her build? And I'd be doing stuff like, well, she's about my size. And I would do that with clothes, with makeup. They'd say, well, what is your hair color? Well, it's blonde like mine. So there was a lot of that that I did, and looking back on it, it's kind of humorous, but at the time it was an emotional roller coaster. And I remember not wanting to move forward, but knowing that I couldn't, and the guilt that was associated with that was beyond terrible. So I would go through these bouts, and this is pre-hormones. I would go through these bouts of buying things, and then when I worked at home a couple days a week, so I would wait till nobody was home, and then I would dress up, knowing I had 3 or 4 hours to be myself. And I will readily admit that my dress wasn't age appropriate. And I do have some pictures of that time on disc that I probably should grind up and get rid of, because it was really embarrassing. I thought I was a sexy babe. And but it's where I was at the time. So but the serious side of that was the guilt pangs that I of being found out, thinking that still think I was at this point. I wasn't involved in a transgender group, only what I had learned on the internet. So there was a lot of feeling like I was alone going on still, but yet still I was experimenting with who I was, and trying to find a comfort level there. And it was pleasant, but the turmoil of of buying all this stuff and wearing it, and it felt so right. And then came the time that I would be so guilty that I would take everything and throw it in the wrap it up, double wrap it in bags, in garbage bags, and put it in underneath garbage in the garbage can so nobody would see it to make it go away. Or I would take it in my car to some other place and put it in the dumpster someplace. And that went on with wigs. You name it. I mean, I had a long blonde wig down by my elbows. I mean, I was searching for a style that I was already outgrown. But I think that people that are experimenting with finding their place and coming forward, I think it's natural. The guilt feelings are really, in hindsight, they're really uncalled for, because it's just being who you are. So there really shouldn't be guilt over it. Though it does exist. It did exist for me on numerous occasions. And I also went through that with the hormones, when I would start hormones and then say I can't do this, and by that point I already knew that I was in too deep, and there was going to be nothing I can do to reverse that. So for somebody that would be starting out today, or is having is doing the flip-flop thing, I would not throw anything out right away. I would just step back for a little while, leave it all sit, and because clothes are expensive, though it's nice finding them. I enjoyed going to a store and telling a clerk in an upper-end women's store that it was for me. And when they would see us, they would know that we spent money. We weren't just window shopping, we were spending. So they were really readily quick to help you. I had that happen in the Gap, I had it happen in Macy's, numerous places I would go and say, it's just for me, I'm trans. And because, after a while, they didn't know who I was. I didn't live near them. I always shopped where it was someplace, distant, where I couldn't be, they couldn't tie me together if they saw me in person. So it all worked out, but it was painful. That emotional roller coaster. It was real, and it hurt. The restarting transition again was like, after one of those episodes, was like, okay, I'm only gonna do this for a little while now, and then I'd be right back in it. And I think once I started doing the offshore hormones and experimenting with that, which I don't recommend, by the way. Once that happened, I knew I was pretty much found and bound to whom I was and where I was going. And the guilt went away soon after that. So purging is a natural act for someone that is older along the way. If you were a younger person purging, I would kind of be questioning him why. Is there another underlying problem? Because if you're a teenager or your early 20s, where you have a certain amount of freedom and you're not attached to a family or a significant other as much, it may make sense to look at that closer if you purge, because then there's a problem. But all of this, even the purging, is something that you want to share with a therapist. There's nothing that you're going to tell them that they haven't heard before from us. So I'm glad that it's not raining today, and it's supposed to be a nice weekend, and I am looking forward to getting stitches out and getting out on my boat if the weather holds up. So have a great weekend, enjoy, and peace. Take care. Bye.